Today we're going to take a look at the Oxford Masonic Bible. So first, a little background how I came into possession of this Bible. I actually wanted to take a look at this Masonic Bible for a few years, and I can't say I pursued it, but it came that I was talking with an older guy that I know, and somehow we were talking about clubs and things you joined, and he said that he was a Mason. And I asked him, well, do you still have your Masonic Bible? And he says, yeah, I still have it. And I said, well, would you let me, borrow it? And he said, yeah, absolutely. So I said, well, next time I see you, bring it, and I'd like to borrow it for like a weekend, that type of thing. And he agreed, and he left and actually came right back with the Bible and said, like take as long as you want with the thing, and just be careful with it or whatever. And I was super grateful just to be able to get a look at this. It's a no pun intended holy grail, and something I didn't think I'd ever actually see in person. So it's really cool. Comes in a really nice case. So the Bible itself is well preserved. So any actual abuse would have been taken by this. And this is the Oxford edition. They do talk about different stylings, the contents, the Grand Lodges. This is, I guess, from New York. And we'll take a look at the Bible itself. I have the King James Bible, so there are some notable differences between this and that, and we'll get to that. There's the Freemason insignia on the front. And they tell you that this one offers Masonic helps. And again, it's the Oxford edition. The opening basically features where it was presented, on the date. So this would have been, actually just about a year ago. This was May 27, 1970. This would be who was received by, who met there, who was raised by, visiting brethren and friends, got to sign it. The next portion goes into discussing what the Bible is. I read a little bit of it. They kind of tell you that you should take this with a grain of salt, as this is their interpretation of the Bible. I'll just see if I can find that exact page. This goes on to talk about the great light in Masonry. How the Bible became a great light. Masonic teachings. And again, the Bible's actually in very good shape. Legend of the craft, legend of the temple. How they constructed the temple. Let's see. That's not what I was looking for. It's like I said, somewhere in here they talk about how this is their version of it, and how I forget the word they used, but how like new members should view this as their new version of the Bible. Genesis starts out the same. They talk about God creating the firmament, separating the waters. Talking about how above the firmament was heaven, and below it is what became the earth. Then it was different from my Bible to this, is that when you get to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, oh, there's a little bookmarker. They call them saints: Saint Matthew, Saint Mark, Saint Luke, Saint John. No big deal, but just a little noticeable difference. Then when we get to the back of it, they get into their dictionary. So if you need to look up a word, you don't understand something, they remind you this is for Masonic use. So this is your dictionary if you don't understand something. Then they have different charts. Talk about Christ, the harmony of life. In the very back, they have, which I thought was interesting, and this is something I really wanted to see in person, but they do feature Egyptian gods and goddesses, which is kind of interesting because, being Catholic, a Roman Catholic in my case, we're not taught that these gods exist, but they clearly have them shown here. So again, I didn't go and read the Bible. I only have this for a short few days. I may look into it a little more, but I thought this was interesting. The soul revisiting the body. But there's a ton of Egyptian references in here that I don't think would normally be in other versions of the Bible. Strangers coming into Egypt. Egyptian brick makers. So I'm definitely grateful to have had the opportunity to check this out and to be able to share it with anyone that watches the video. Different plates. I don't know exactly what these are supposed to be. Narandurus, the king of Babylon. I don't know, some kind of plate. These are definitely very odd things you wouldn't see in an average Bible. Different coins. Then we get into maps. This is Jerusalem in Old Testament times. Exodus. What's this one? Israel. The United Monarchy. Palestine. So yeah, that is a really quick look at the Masonic Bible. It talks about Freemasonry and their ties to religion. Now, there's been some rumors, and I haven't seen anything here to indicate this, but how when you finally find out, what the Great Light is, it's supposed to be that you're worshiping Satan the entire time. The gentleman that gave me this only became a level 3 Mason, so he would not have known anything about that. Supposedly that's level 30 that you find out what the Great Light is. Anyway, like I said, I was glad to get a hold of this, and I was glad to be able to share it. So I hope that gave a little more insight. Again, this is a really great example of the Masonic Bible. Terrific shape with the original case. I haven't seen that before. The cover itself is in pristine condition. So that's what I have for you today. As always, I thank you for watching, and I will catch you later. If you enjoyed the video, please take the time to like and subscribe.